Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Amiladin. And we are the Group 8, and we are here to tackle about the Filipino-American relations and also the biography of the famous Filipino. The Filipino-American relations will be tackled by Mr. Tabrada.
Filipino-American relation. An enduring resilience characterized Philippine-American relationship for several reasons. There is unusual colonial relationship with wherein the United States took control of the Philippines from the Spanish and then shared power with an emerging Filipino elite, introduced suffrage, implemented public education, and promised eventual national independence. We all know that from the past, we are colonized by the Spaniards for over 307 years. Then the American came over and took us from the Spaniards. They introduced suffrage, public education, and the promise to free the country from colonization once the Philippines can stand itself. A shared experience fighting the Japanese in World War II and defeating a post-war communist rebellion further cemented the special relationship between the two countries. The Filipino also experienced the dreadful war during the World War II, which laid a solid relationship with the US after winning against the communist group in the country. United States took advantage of the partnership. The United States took advantage of this partnership to compel the Philippines to sign an economic and military treaty that favored American businesses and the military, respectively. Mas advantage ang US aning partnership nga ilang gibuhat militarily and economically because the Philippines was rich in natural resources to support the growing of industrial economy of the US. Filipino leaders not only accepted the realities of this strategic game and exploited every opening to assert national interests but also benefited from American largesse. The Filipino also benefited from the American largesse, like introduction of the American system education assures the security of the country and more economic gains. Administration of President Ferdinand Endralin Marcos Sr. Under the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., he has placed the entire country under martial law as 9 p.m. on September 22, 1972, until 1981 by virtue of Proclamation number 1081. By this law, the mutual caging between American Philippines was at its most brazen. As a result, the, the military alliance suffered when the Philippines terminated the agreement, and the US and the United States considerably reduced its support to the country. But the skirmish did not long last, and both countries rekindled the special relationship in response to the US global war on terror and of late Chinese military aggression in the West Philippine Sea. administration of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the relationship between the United States and Philippines has historically been strong and has been described as a special relationship. The former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, however, was supportive of a foreign policy that is less dependent on the United States, favoring one that prioritized closer relation with China instead. Because President Rodrigo Roa Duterte knows our country is a pro-American country. They don't want us to involve in a conflict of the superpower country, but he tried to stay neutral. I mean, that's all. Thank you.
Filipinos. I will be discussing Dr. Jose Rizal's biography, so I will just give you a quick brief biography about Rizal. As we all know, who Dr. Jose Rizal is our Philippine national hero. He is widely considered to be one of the national heroes of the Philippines because of his significant contributions to the country. Struggle for independence from the Spanish colonial rule in the late 19th century. So I will start from mag-una ko discuss sa Rizal's parents. So Rizal's parents were Francisco Mercado and Teodora Alonso. Francisco Mercado Rizal, commonly known as Don Francisco, was a businessman, farmer, and father of Rizal. He was born on May 11, 1818, in Binian, Laguna. Don Francisco was known for his agricultural ventures and land holdings. He was a tenant farmer and later became a leaseholder of a Dominican-owned hacienda. He also served as a gobernadorcillo, which means town mayor of Binian. And his mother, Teodora Alonso Realunda, commonly known as Doña Teodora, was the mother of Jose Rizal. She was born on November 8, 1827 in Santa Cruz, Manila. Doña Teodora came from a well-educated family and was known for her intelligence and artistic skills. She was a teacher and influenced Rizal's interest in education and love for learning. She also supported Rizal in his intellectual pursuit and encouraged his patriotism. So, his family belonged to the Filipino elite. His family belonged to the Filipino elite, and they provided him with a solid education. Rizal excelled in his studies both in the Philippines and abroad. He pursued higher education in Europe, studying medicine at the Universidad Central de Madrid, where he obtained a degree in ophthalmology. When we say ophthalmology, it is a branch of medicine that focuses on the diagnosis, treatment, and management of diseases, disorders, and injuries related to the eyes and visual system. So during his time in Europe, Rizal became exposed to nationalist ideas and saw firsthand the mistreatment and oppression suffered by Filipinos under Spanish colonial rule. He started writing and advocating for reforms in the Philippines using his literary skills to express his thoughts and criticisms. Rizal's most famous works include the novels No Le Mitangere, which means Touch Me Not, and El Filibusterismo, the Reign of Greed, and these novels depict the injustices and abuses committed by the Spanish authorities and highlighting the need for social and political change in the Philippines. Okay. Noli Me Tangere, one of his famous works, is a Latin phrase that translates to touch me not in English. It is derived from a biblical passage in the Gospel of John, where Jesus says to Mary Magdalene, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father." In the context of Jose Rizal's novel titled Noli Me Tangere, the phrase carries symbolic significance. Rizal used it as the title of his novel to convey his message and critique to the social and political situation in the Philippines during the Spanish colonial era. The title Noli Me Tangere served as a metaphor for the issues explored in the novel. It symbolizes the need to question and challenge the oppressive system and abusive practices of the Spanish colonizers. Rizal's work aims to awaken the Filipino people,
urging them to not remain passive or indifferent to the injustice and abuses they faced, but rather to confront and address them. No Limit Tangerine represents Rizal's calls for social awakening, resistance against oppression, and the pursuit of justice and reform. The novel played a pivotal role, inspiring and mobilizing the Filipino nationalist movement, leading to the eventual struggle for independence from Spanish colonial rule. Gisulat ni Rizal ang No Limit Tangerine tungod kay gusto niya ang mga Filipinos is dili lang magilom-ilom or dili lang mukuan silbi walay baruganan sa ilang kaugalingon. Rizal write this one because he wants us Filipinos to fight and to stand for to fight for freedom para ma-free na ta sa kanang Spanish. So, and also his one famous works also is El Filibusterismo, which means it is a novel written by Dr. Jose Rizal, the national hero of the Philippines. It serves as sequel to his earlier work, No Limit Tangerine, and was published in 1891, the title El Filibusterismo, translated to The Filibustering or The Reign of Greed in English. The novel delves deeper into the social and political issues prevalent during the Spanish colonial era in the Philippines. It continues the story of the characters in No Limit Tangerine but focuses on a darker and more intense narrative. El Filibusterismo presents a critique of Spanish colonialism and explores themes of oppression, corruption, and struggle faced by the Filipino people. The term filibusterismo in the title refers to the act of rebellion or resistance against the oppressive Spanish regime. In the context of the novel, it represents the protagonist, Simon's plot to incite a revolution and seek vengeance against those who contributed to his suffering. Through El Filibusterismo, Rizal exposes the injustice faced by Filipinos, highlights the abuses of power by both Spanish and Filipino elites, and reflects on the consequences of colonial rule. The novel serves as a call for societal change, reflecting Rizal's desires for social justice and reforms in the Philippines. Similar to No Limit Tangerine, El Filibusterismo played a crucial role in inspiring and mobilizing the Filipino nationalist movement against Spanish colonial rule, leading to the eventual Philippine Revolution. It remains an important piece of Philippine literature known for its powerful social commentary and its impact on the country's history and quest for independence. So, Rizal, gisulat ni Rizal ang El Filibusterismo nga gusto niya ipagawas ang mga corruption nga nakuan sa mga government, ang dili maayo nga pagmamalakad kanang pagdala sa mga tawo gikan kuan sa Spanish government nga daog-daogan kanang violente o murag gihimo nila ang mga tawo og kanang slave or kuan. So so as Rizal's influence grew, he became an important figure in the propaganda movement, a group of Filipino intellectuals and reformers who aimed to bring about change peacefully. However, his writings and activism made him a target of the Spanish authorities. Moto sa iya mga gipangsulat kay ang mga kuan ni Rizal dito ang iyang gipangsulat kay grabe ka detalyado nga mura na jud ang mga Filipino kay iya yung ma-convince tungod sa iyahang mga words na iyang gipanggamit sa iyahang mga writings. So, dito na nag-start nga kana sa iyang mga gipasulat dito nag-start nga na kanang his writings and activism made him a target of the Spanish authorities. Murag hibaw-an na siguro sa mga Spanish nga government o kinsay napakuan ana sinisot ana kay kanang. So, in 1896, Rizal was arrested and charged with sedition and rebellion. Sedition. So when we say sedition, it means panghihimagsik or panghihimagsikan. It refers to the act of inciting resistance or rebellion against a lawful authority. Wala sila ni uyon nga mura sila ni against ana mga pamamalakad sa mga kuan silbi sa pag-rule sa mga Spanish government. So Rebellion means refers to an organized and armed resistance or uprising against the established government or authority. So, ilang gidakop si Rizal nga and charged with sedition or rebellion. He was convicted and sentenced to death. Priso siya dayon kanang. And he was sentenced to death. On December 30, 1896, at the age of 35, Rizal was executed by firing squad in Manila. His death sparked outrage and further fueled the flames of the Philippines revolution against the Spanish rule. Rizal's martyrdom and his writings had a profound impact on the Philippines nationalist movement. He is widely regarded as national hero and is often referred to as a pride of the Malay race. His life and works continue to inspire Filipinos to fight for freedom, justice, and the pursuit of knowledge. Si Rizal, based na po sa ako ang nakuan na kitaan sa mga pag-research nako is sa pagpatay ni Rizal is nakaatubang siya sa mga tao, which is kanuhay ko na kanang nagpasabot nga kanang limpyo ang iyang konsensya nga wala siya sala nga ang iyang ipastorya is tinuod tanan at it means nga kanang namatay siya nga limpyo ang iyang konsensya. So Rizal is considered as one of is our national heroes because of all Filipinos, siya ra joy mo'y nin-choose nga mo fight pero dili gamit ang dahas or something nga naay weapon, but he used his words as weapon to fight for the freedom, to fight to get the kanang makuha na to ang independence nga ato ang gipangandoy. So Kathleen will discuss the Andres Bonifacio's biography.
Biography of Andres Bonifacio. So Andres Bonifacio was born in Tondo, Manila in 1863 and the son of government official. So by the mid-1880s, he had become a fervent Filipino nationalist. When Jose Rizal established the La Liga Filipina in 1892, Bonifacio was one of its members. So the La Liga Filipina aimed to unite Filipinos and advocate for reforms under Spanish colonial rule. However, La Liga Filipina was short-lived and Rizal was deported to Dapitan, Mindanao by the Spanish authorities. So, Andres Bonifacio was the founder of the Katipunan, a militant nationalist secret society that led the rebellion against Spain. So, in response to the failure of La Liga Filipina, Bonifacio founded the Katipunan, which quickly gained support from Filipinos who were tired of Spanish oppression o pang-aapi. So, Bonifacio proclaimed Filipino independence on August 23, 1896. However, when Bonifacio tried to rein him in, Aguinaldo ordered him and arrested and charged with treason and sedition. So, when we say treason is a crime of betraying your country. Treason. Then, ang sedition is oppose the government. So, today, Andres Bonifacio is regarded as a national hero of the Philippines. In fact, every year, his birthday of November 30 is celebrated as a national public holiday. So, next is biography of Cayetano Arellano. So, Cayetano Arellano y Lonzon was a prominent Filipino lawyer and jurist who became the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines under the American civil government. So, he was born in Orion, Bataan and studied law in 1876 at the University of Santo Tomas. So, So where he finished his Bachelor of Philosophy in 1862 and Bachelor of Theology in 1867. So he then continued studying and finished law in 1876. So, he was appointed as a Magistrado Suplente of the Audiencia Tribunal de Manila. So, ang Magistrado Suplente of the Audiencia Tribunal is substitute judge. So, he later became the Chief Justice of the Provisional Supreme Court created by the military in 1899. So, Arellano together with Pedro Paterno, Benito Legarda, Florentino Torres, and Felipe Buencamino testified before the Scorman Commission that the Philippines was not ready for self-rule. So, upon the onset of the American civil government in 1901, William Howard Taft appointed Arellano as the first Supreme Court Chief Justice. So, so si Pedro Paterno is a former Prime Minister of the Philippines based on my research. Then si Benito Legarda is member of the Philippine of the American Colonial. Then Florentino Torres is Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the Philippines. Then Felipe Buencamino is a former Secretary of the Foreign Affairs of Philippines. Next is biography of Manuel L. Quezon, which be tackled by Miss Tapales.
So, I will tackle the biography of Manuel L. Quezon. Manuel L. Quezon, born Manuel Luis Quezon E. Molina. On August 19, 1878, August 1, 1944 was Filipino statesman, soldiers, and a politician who served as a president of the Commonwealth of the Philippines from 1935 to 1944. He was the first Filipino to head a government of the entire Philippines and is considered to have been the second president of the Philippines after Emilio Aguinaldo in 1899 to 1901. Quezon, he was the first Filipino to head a government of the entire Philippines and he considered to have been the second president of the Philippines after Emilio. Kung siya ang siya may mahinungdanong tao during sa politika sa Philippines during sa early part of 20th century. O usa siya adunay dakong papel sa pakigbisog sa nasod alang sa kagawasan gikan sa Estados Unidos, or he played a significant role in the country of struggle for independence from the United States. During sa pagka-presidente ni Manuel Quezon, isagubang ni Quezon he tackled the problems sa mga walayuta nga mag-uuma in the countryside. His other major decisions include the reorganization to promote the promotion of settlement and development in the Mindanao, dealing with the foreign Philippine trade and commerce, proposal for land reform and opposing graft and corruption within the government and exile in the U.S., with the outbreak of the war and the threat of Japanese. So Quezon was born in Baled, of a district principal now called Baled. So moong gitawag na siya og Baler, Aurora karon, it's because the province was named after President Manuel Quezon's wife, Aurora Quezon. And the father of Manuel Quezon was Lucio Quezon, a primary grade school teacher from Paco, Manila, and a retired sergeant of the Spanish Colonial Army. His mother, Maria Dolores Molina, a primary grade school teacher in their town. He later boarded at the Colegio de San Juan de Letran, where he completed secondary school. And although no iyang parents have a contribute to his education, he received most of his primary education from the public school established by the Spanish government sa ilang barrio o sa ilang village. As a part of the establishment of the free education system in the Philippines, nagpamatuod nga to sa iyang pagpipulong or the speech of the House of the Representative of the United States during the discussion of the Jones Bill. Now, he later boarded at the Colegio de San Juan de Letrán where he completed his secondary school. So, pagkahuman sa iyang elementary sa Baler, Quezon is nagpa-enroll siya sa Manila dito sa Colegio de San Juan de Letrán. Din iyang nahuman iyang secondary education. In 1894, he graduated summa cum laude at the University of Santo Tomas. So pag in 1894, ipadayon siya sa pag-eskwela sa University of Santo Tomas and graduated summa cum laude. First Bachelor of Arts, he took law studies there but it was cut short due to the Philippine-American War. So, in 1899, gibiyaan ni Quezon ang iyang pag-eskwela as a law or ni-stop siya sa University of Santo Tomas to join the movement during sa panahon sa Philippine-American War. Siya nahimong AD camp or the personal secretary of Emilio Aguinaldo. He rose the rank of a major and fought in the Bataan sector. Apan human ni surrender ni adtong 1900s, diin siya mahimo siyang unang break sa American press. Quezon returned to the university. Balik siya sa University of Santo Tomas. Balik siya, no? Tomas, and he passed the examination bar in 1903 and achieving the 4th place. Quezon began his political career in 1907. He ran for public office as the province of Tayabas. In 1907, he was elected the first Philippine Assembly, later become the House of Representatives, where he served as a majority floor leader, chairman of the committee and rules, as well as the chairman also of the committee and appropriations. From 1909 to 1916, he served as one of the Philippines' 2 residence commissioners, the U.S. House of Representatives, lobbying for the passage of the Philippine Autonomy Act or John's Law. So, kaning Autonomy Act or also known as the John's Law was a United States federal law that granted the Philippine limited self-government and established a bicameral Philippine legislature composed of the Senate and the House of Representatives. The law was named after Congressman William Jones, who sponsored the bill in the U.S. Congress. So, the Jones Law was an important step in Philippine journey toward independence from the United States. So he did the first independence mission to the U.S. Congress, and in 1919, and secured the passage of Taguig-McDuffie Act in 1934. In 1922, Quezon became the leader of the Nationalist Party Alliance. So si Manuel Quezon ang nangulo sa unang Philippine Independence mission nga to sa United States Congress in 1919. Diin siya naglabi alang sa kagawasan sa Philippines nga naghimo usab siya usa ka mahinungdanon nga papel sa pagpasa sa Taguig-McDuffie Act in 1934, which provide for establishment of Commonwealth government in the Philippines and a set of timeline for. In addition, Quezon became the leader of the Philippine Nationalista Party Alliance in 1922. Ang Nationalist Party maoy usa sa kanang major political parties in the Philippines sa panahon sa American colonial period. Og si Quezon maoy kanang naay dakong papel sa pagpangulo og direksyon ini. He served as the party president from until 1928 until his death on 1944. So, Quezon was married to his first cousin Aurora Aragon Quezon, which is kanang common pa ato nga panahon. On December 17, 1918, the couple had 4 children, De Maria Aurora, alias Bebe Quezon, on September 23, 1919, April 28, 1949. Maria Zenaida, alias Nene Quezon Avancina, born in 1922. Lucia Corazon Paz, alias Nita Quezon, born in February 17, 1924, December 14, 1924. And Manuel L. alias Nunong Quezon, Jr., June 23, 1926 to September 18, 1998. Mo na ang ilang adopted nga si Manuel L. Quezon, mo na ilang grandson. In 1935, Quezon won the Philippine first national president. Elected under the banner of the Nationalista Party, he obtained nearly 68% of the vote against his 2 main rivals, si Emilio Aguinaldo and Gregorio Aglipay. Quezon was inaugurated in November 1935. Manuel Quezon ran the candidate of the Nationalista Party and won nearly 68% of the votes. Moto iyang dipildi ang iyang duha ka rival nga si Emilio Aguinaldo o si Gregorio Aglipay. So Manuel Quezon was recognized the second president of the Philippines. And Manuel Quezon also implemented many reforms, and he is the one that institutionalized the Filipino is our official language. Siya may nagpaila-ila na Filipino are our official language. However, in January 2008, House Representative Rodolfo Valencia of Oriental Mindoro filed a bill seeking instead to declare General Miguel Malvar as a second Philippine president, having directly succeeded Aguinaldo's in 1901. So, si House Representative Rodolfo Valencia sa Oriental Mindoro, may pasaka siya o kanang balaod nga nagtinguha nga i-declare si General Miguel Malvar isip ikaduhang presidente sa Philippines. Ang direktang mupuli kang Emilio Aguinaldo niadtong 1901. So next is the biography of Imelda Marcos. So Imelda Marcos is a Filipino politician and a former First Lady of the Philippines. She was born in Imelda Remedios Visitacion Romualdez on July 2, 1929 in the Manila, Philippines. Ang iyang papa is silang Vicente Umestes Romualdez, a lawyer, and then her mother Remedios Trinidad, the second wife of Vicente, and they have 6 ka anak, si Imelda. Imelda Marcos, born in the Romualdez political dynasty for the province of Leyte. Imelda grew up in a wealthy clan of Catholics. She was immediately baptized the day after her birth by Monsignor Juan Somero in the nearby San Miguel Church. Her grandmother, Doña Trinidad Lopez de Romaldes, was the clan matriarch. She and her husband, Daniel Romaldes Achili, were considered the first of the clan to have lived in Tolosa. Leyte, originally from the purpose of Daniel's health but soon became the mark of the flourish of the Romaldes clan in said municipality. So, Imelda Marcos, again, was born on July 2, 1929 in Manila, Philippines, and she began her career as a beauty queen and winning several titles in 1950s. She won several beauty pageants in the Philippines, including the Miss Manila title in 1953. Her beauty and charm helped her gain popularity and social connections, which ultimately led to her marriage to Ferdinand Marcos, who later became the President of the Philippines. In 1965, gideklara ni Ferdinand Marcos ang martial law, which gave him extraordinary powers and allowed him to rule the country of the dictator for more than a decade. Niining kaning panahon na, si Imelda Marcos nagsilbi usab unang ginang sa Philippines with the first, ang gitawag na to First Lady of the Philippines. Ug ano na siya kanang dako impluwensya sa gobyerno. Particular sa natad na culture na naila si kanang Imelda Marcos o lagi Imelda Marcos in a culture and sa pagkamaayo po niya sa arts. Her opulent lifestyle and the lavish spending of Marcos regime became a source of controversy and criticism both within the Philippines and internationally. During their 21 years regime, the Marcoses were accused of human rights violation, corruption, and establishment of the public lands. The Association Opposition leader Benigno Aquino Jr. caused mass protests that eventually led the People Power Revolution. So, kato ko nung pagkamatay ni Benigno Aquino, it caused a mass protest that eventually lead to the sa atong Pilipinas. Aquino was a prominent opposition figure who had been living in exile in the United States for several years. He returned to the Philippines in 1983 to challenge Marcos and was assassinated upon his arrival at Manila International Airport. So, pag-abot ni Aquino dito, ipusil siya. Aquino's death sparked outrage and mass protests across the country as many Filipinos believed that the Marcos regime was responsible for his murder. The event galvanized opposition to Marcos and fueled calls for democratic reforms. In February 1986, a series of protests and demonstrations culminated in the People Power Revolution, which saw millions of Filipinos take to the streets to demand Marcos' resignation. The non-violence protest movement eventually forced Marcos to fly into the other country. He was replaced by Corazon Aquino, the window of Ninoy Aquino. The People Power Revolution is widely regarded as a landmark event in the Philippine history and symbol of the power of non-violent resistance. So after the People Power Revolution in 1986, the Marcos family fled into exile, and Corazon Aquino's The Window of Ninoy Aquino was installed as a president. Ferdinand Marcos died in the exile of Hawaii in 1989, and his body was returned to the Philippines in 1993, where he was buried in his home province of Ilocos Norte. So, pagkamatay sa asawa ni Imelda Marcos, nibalik siya sa Philippines. And she faced a number of legal challenges related to the allegation of corruption and embezzlement during her time as a First Lady. Despite these controversies, she ran for a political office and was elected 4 times to the House of Representatives. Resting the 1st District of Leyte from 1995 to 1998 and later the 2nd District of Ilocos Norte from 2010 to 2019. Imelda Marcos remains a controversial figure in the Philippine politics and society, with many Filipinos criticizing her for her alleged involvement in human rights abuse and corruption during the Marcos regime. So Romualdez, yun, Madre Teresa ng Madre Sofia. Catholic of Latin, Monsignor. So, Catholics of Latin Rite, Monsignor Juan Somera immediately baptized her day following mo ta kung giingon ganiha. Her grandmother, Dora Trinidad Lopez Omaldes, was a clan of head. Ako na nang gitangkol ganiya to. Her uncle, Roberto Romualdez, a Philippine Supreme Court Associate Justice and another known member of Imelda's family. So Romualdez' connection to the Marcos family and his rule of the Supreme Court during this time have led some to criticize his legacy or as justice, although others still regard him as a respected legal figure in the Philippine history. So that is all about of Imelda Marcos biography.